Today we're going to do something engineers do in production. We stop talking about threads as a concept, and we start treating them as state machines controlled by a scheduler. If you can't reason about thread states, you can't debug hangs, deadlocks, random latency spikes, or it worked yesterday failures. This block gives you a professional mental model. Threads move through states. The OS scheduler is the hidden boss. Timing is not a contract. Correctness must be designed, not hoped for. This lecture is not about how to start a thread. It's about what happens after you start it and why your program becomes unpredictable. From here onward, every serious concurrency topic, locks, atomics, thread pools, deadlocks, depends on this foundation. Our goal is simple. When you see a system hanging, you should be able to answer. Which state are the threads in, and why? Engineers don't debug by guessing, they debug by model. Threads are not running things. They are state machines. If the system freezes, it's usually one of these. Threads are blocked on locks. Threads are waiting for signals that never come. Threads are starved by scheduling, or they're runnable but fighting for CPU with overhead. The key message. Concurrency failures are usually a combination of scheduler behavior and lock contention and wrong coordination logic. So we learn the states as a diagnostic tool, not as theory. Java gives us 6 main lifecycle states: new, runnable, blocked, waiting, timed, waiting, terminated. Runnable is not running. Runnable means eligible to run. Java merges. Ready, in queue, running on CPU. Into one label. Why? Portability. The JVM hides OS detail. Engineering consequence. If you design logic assuming you can predict execution timing, you are designing a fragile system. This diagram is the heart of the lecture. Think of this as an execution state machine. New becomes runnable after start. Runnable can be interrupted by lock contention, blocked, or voluntarily parked, waiting, or timed parked, timed waiting. Eventually, it terminates when run ends. Notice something subtle. Most stuck systems are not stuck in runnable. They're stuck in blocked or waiting. And the footnote matters. Runnable maps to both OS ready and running. So runnable is not a guarantee of progress. A thread can be runnable and still make no progress if it's starved. New is purely a JVM level state. You created an object, thread equal new thread, but nothing is scheduled. No execution is happening. Engineers must remember, a thread object is single use. Once it terminates, you cannot restart it. This is why thread pools exist. Creating OS threads repeatedly is expensive. Stacks, scheduling registration, context cost. So in systems design, we don't create threads casually, we manage them as resources. Runnable means the thread can be picked by the scheduler. It might be running on a CPU right now, or waiting in the OS run queue. Java doesn't tell you which. This is where a lot of student intuition breaks. You can have 100 runnable threads and still get low throughput. Why? Because CPU cores are limited, and context switching becomes overhead. Runnable describes eligibility, not performance. Blocked is not sleep. Blocked is not wait. Blocked means the thread is trying to enter synchronized lock, but another thread owns the monitor, so the thread is blocked on intrinsic lock acquisition. In production, a pile of blocked threads is a red flag. It often means lock granularity is too coarse. A lock is held too long. Contention grows with load. That's why concurrency design is often about reducing time-holding locks. This slide is a debugging superpower. Blocked equal contention. Waiting equal coordination. Blocked means, I want a lock, but I can't get it. Waiting means, I decided to pause until someone signals me. If you confuse these, you debug the wrong thing. For blocked, you inspect lock ownership in critical sections. For waiting, you inspect signaling logic, notify, joins, latches, conditions. Engineers always ask, is this thread blocked by competition or parked by design? Waiting is when the thread is parked indefinitely. Examples: obj.wait, t.join, locksupport.park. This is coordination. Waiting is normal in correct systems. But waiting can also be deadly when notify is missed, condition is wrong, join is waiting on a thread that never ends. Waiting often means the thread is fine, but the system might be waiting on a missing event. Timed waiting is waiting with a timeout. Sleep is the classic case. But the engineering precision, sleep 1000, means at least 1000 milliseconds. It might be 1010 milliseconds, 1100 milliseconds or worse under load. And critically, sleep does not release locks. So if you sleep inside a synchronized block, you are holding the lock while doing nothing. That's not just slow, it can block other threads and amplify contention. Terminated means the thread is done. Either run ended normally, or an uncaught exception killed it. In production, uncaught exceptions killing worker threads is a silent failure mode. If a thread pool worker dies and isn't replaced properly, throughput collapses. And again, you cannot restart a terminated thread, so resource design matters. Use executors. Use error handling policies. Avoid ad hoc thread creation. This slide is your lifecycle checklist. Every transition corresponds to a cause. Start leads to runnable. Lock contention leads to blocked. Wait join park leads to waiting. Sleep timeouts leads to timed waiting. Run ends leads to terminated. Most paths return to runnable because the scheduler regains control. So concurrency is a loop between. Work leads to block park leads to runnable leads to work. If you can reason about those loops, you can reason about system behavior. This is where theory becomes production grade. A thread dump is how engineers debug concurrency in real systems. Look at the key text. Java.lang thread.state is blocked, then waiting to lock, owned by worker 2. That line is gold. It tells you the state, the lock object, and who owns it. So to debug, you find the owner thread, inspect its stack trace, and identify what code is holding the lock too long. This is exactly how deadlocks and contention incidents are diagnosed in practice. Now I stop lecturing and I test your model. Scenario. A thread calls sleep 5000 while holding a lock. What state is it in? Correct answer. Timed waiting. But the deeper engineering point. Even though it's sleeping, it still holds the lock. So other threads trying to enter the same synchronized region become blocked. This is how one sleeping thread can freeze a whole subsystem. Now we attack the myths. These beliefs are the root cause of bad concurrency design. Start order determines execution. Sleep gives precise timing. Priority guarantees order. More threads always helps. Yield forces scheduling. These are comforting ideas. They are also wrong, and because they're wrong, systems built on them are unreliable. Here's the real world. OS scheduler decides. Sleep is minimum, not exact. Priority is a hint. Yield is a hint. Context switching costs performance. Fairness is not guaranteed. Engineers design assuming. Scheduling is non-deterministic and platform-dependent. Timing-based coordination is fragile, so we use proper synchronization primitives, not wishful thinking. Start order is not execution order. Start only registers a thread as runnable. The scheduler may pick another thread first or later. This is why print order changes between runs. The engineering message. If correctness depends on this runs first, then the design must enforce it explicitly, not assume it. Sleep is not a clock. It's a pause request. The OS wakes you up when it can. Under CPU load, wake-ups can drift. Timer resolution differs between systems. So if your coordination uses sleep, you built a time bomb. Professional rule. Sleep is for back-off and pacing, not for correctness. Priority feels like control, but it's not. Java priority is advisory, OS-dependent, and sometimes ignored. Even on the same OS, results vary with load. Engineering rule. Never use priority for correctness. You can use it to suggest behavior, but never to guarantee it. And that's exactly what your lab will prove. Now the modern note, virtual threads. Traditional Java threads map one-to-one to OS threads. Virtual threads introduce M-to-N mapping, meaning many Java threads ride on fewer OS carrier threads. Impact. Blocking becomes cheap at the Java level. Scheduling shifts more into the JVM, but the engineering caution. Even with virtual threads, you still must understand states and coordination. Loom improves scalability. It does not remove concurrency complexity. This is our experiment. We test whether priority reliably determines completion order. We run multiple times, record the order, compare results. Engineers don't argue about schedulers philosophically, they measure. If results vary, the conclusion is simple. Priority is not a contract. This is an engineering quality lab because we use a latch. Why? Because without it, one thread might start earlier and bias the experiment. Countdown latch forces both threads to reach a ready state, then we release them together. That makes the race fairer and the results more meaningful. Also note the interrupt handling. We don't swallow interrupts, we restore and exit. That's production discipline. Here's the second half. We create low, medium, high. We set priorities. We start them, release the latch, and then join. Then we print the run result. The join ensures we're not mixing outputs from different runs. So this experiment is clean. Synchronized start, synchronized end of run, clear output separation. That's how engineers write experiments, eliminate noise. Your task is data collection, run 10 times, record completion order. If priority was reliable, high should dominate, but it won't. And if your OS behaves differently from my OS, that's also part of the lesson. Scheduler behavior is platform dependent. The expected result is inconsistency. High doesn't always finish first. Ordering varies. Different machines show different patterns. This is not failure. This is the intended proof. When you see randomness, you have discovered the truth. Priority is not a correctness tool. Here's the engineering conclusion. The scheduler decides. Priority and yield are hints. Timing-based coordination is fragile. Correctness requires synchronization contracts. The most important mindset. Design as if the scheduler is adversarial. If your system remains correct under hostile scheduling, it is robust. Let's compress everything. Threads move through states like a finite state machine. Runnable includes ready and running. Blocked is contention. Waiting is coordination. Thread dumps show what's happening for real in production. Scheduling myths collapse when you measure. If you internalize this, the next block becomes logical. We now know we can't control time, so we must control access. This is the transition. If time is not controllable, how do we control access? This is where synchronization begins. Synchronized locks, atomics. Visibility and happens before. Next session, we'll build correctness under non-determinism. Ode, you learned the professional mental model. Threads are not parallel magic. They are state machines, driven by schedulers, constrained by locks, and exposed through thread dumps. If you can read a dump, you can debug production. If you can reason about state transitions, you can design correct coordination. In the next lecture, we move from observation to control. We'll build synchronization that makes correctness, independent of scheduling randomness. That's real concurrency engineering.